It's just really important that we have a voice that can tell our story.
It's not a question of if the value's there, it's a necessity.
For nearly 80 years, the Florida Fruit and Vegetable Association has been a trusted partner for agriculture, elevating the voices of its members on the issues that matter most. Over the last year, FFVA has continued this important work, advocating on behalf of its members at the state and federal level, while anticipating and responding to challenges and opportunities.
FFVA is extremely important to the produce industry, especially if you're a grower here in the state of Florida. So we are constantly met with different challenges, and without FFVA's support, we wouldn't be as successful of a company as we are today.
This past season, FFVA continued to push for an immediate, effective, and enforceable solution for Florida growers who have faced devastating impacts of unfair trade practices. As a result of testimony by our members, FFVA, and other growers and associations in August 2020, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative and the Departments of Commerce and Agriculture jointly announced actions to address threats that increased imports pose to American producers of seasonal and perishable fruits and vegetables. Since then, FFVA members have stepped up to make their voices heard, providing testimony at several hearings before the U.S. International Trade Commission. Despite strong industry efforts for a solution, a recent U.S. ITC investigation into harm caused by increased imports of blueberries ended with an unfavorable injury determination. An ITC review of strawberries, bell peppers, squash, and cucumbers remains ongoing. The association supports the reintroduction of the Defending Domestic Produce Production Act in Congress that would provide critically needed trade relief for specialty crop producers in Florida and the Southeast. FFVA will continue to push for an effective trade solution for growers and appreciates the commitment and leadership of Florida's congressional delegation in support of this key issue.
Right now we're dealing with, in our industry, a lot of imports that have been increasing over the years and years. And it's great that we have people like FFVA to help fight those issues. FFVA was on the front lines, letting us get a voice in front of the USTR so that we could be heard. Without FFVA, that would have never happened.
Access to a stable legal workforce remains a critical concern for agriculture, and FFVA continued to push for progress this year. FFVA worked alongside other associations in the Agriculture Workforce Coalition to advocate for policy changes to address concerns with the H-2A program. A founding member of the coalition, the association played a leadership role in discussions on federal legislation that would amend the outdated labor laws to make critically needed improvements to the H-2A program. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill in March, and a companion bill is in the works in the U.S. Senate. The 2021 legislative session was a good one for Florida agriculture. With COVID-19 protocols limiting personal interactions with policymakers, the session was unusual, but also one for the record books. Through our work with elected officials, members of the Florida Ag Coalition, and other business organizations, as well as calls and letters by members, FFVA worked hard to push through several priority pieces of legislation for Florida agriculture. Garnering broad bipartisan support in both the House and Senate, Senate Bill 88, Farming Operations, was an important win for Florida agriculture. The bill strengthens the protections for reasonable agricultural activities conducted on farmland from nuisance lawsuits and provides stronger liability protections to farms that comply with best management practices and environmental regulations.
The Florida grower has his hands full trying to manage his crops and grow crops and run their operations. They don't have time to deal with the challenges that the industry faces. So it's great that we have a voice in Tallahassee and in Washington, D.C. and other places to really speak out for us.
FFVA keeps a constant watch on important water management issues to protect growers' access to this critical resource. This year, FFVA has continued efforts to work alongside impacted stakeholders to ensure both the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the South Florida Water Management District are aware of the industry's concerns regarding future water supply within Lake Okeechobee. As the Army Corps continues the Lake Okeechobee System Operating Manual (LOSOM) process to reevaluate and define operations for the Lake Okeechobee Regulation Schedule, FFVA is working to ensure the level of service for water availability among permitted users in the lake service area is not diminished. After adoption of SB 712, Clean Waterways Act in 2020, FFVA has worked with the state's Office of Agricultural Water Policy as it has revised rules to reflect the new BMP requirements and to ensure any new requirements would not go beyond the scope of what was mandated in the bill and become burdensome for the industry. Following a cyclospora outbreak in 2020, FFVA has been actively coordinating with state, university, and federal partners to further the science on the parasite and provide information, education, and training on safe practices to its members. FFVA hosted a virtual cyclospora workshop. The association and industry partners also continue to share Florida concerns with the FDA regarding its 2020 findings. Earlier this year, President Biden issued an executive order directing several federal agencies to provide reports on issues within their supply chains by the end of 2021. As a result, USDA solicited input from industry groups to help guide its report. With input from FFVA leadership, the board, and the Supply Chain Committee, FFVA provided comments outlining several of the key issues exposed in the agriculture supply chain as a direct result of COVID-19. Including surging volumes and unfairly priced fruits and vegetables from Mexico, the domestic worker shortage, the truck driver shortage, shipping container, pallet, and port worker shortage, and more. FFVA also vocalized the pallet shortage issue among Florida and national stakeholders, advocating for a temporary solution with industry partners. The association joined several North American produce industry partners in sounding the warning bell on the shortage, which was exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, FFVA also said goodbye to a few familiar faces with the retirement of Mike Carlton, Director of Labor Relations, and Lisa Lockridge, Director of Public Affairs. We are grateful for their many years of service to FFVA and wish them well. With their departure brought the arrival of some new faces around the FFVA halls, including Veronica Figueroa, Communications Manager, and Jamie Fussell, Director of Labor Relations, and Christina Morton, Director of Communications. With these additions, FFVA rounds out its team dedicated to being a strong voice for Florida's specialty crop industry. Administered by the Florida Specialty Crop Foundation, the creation of the Emerging Leader Development Program back in 2011 has provided more than 110 young leaders with an immersive experience on the many issues facing the industry and how to be leaders within FFVA. Class 10 completed the program, and Class 11 will begin soon. Last year, the board further cemented ELDP alum engagement in FFVA by designating 5 seats for producer member alumni. With an eye toward the future, the board is strengthening the future of specialty crop agriculture.
In terms of food production for our country, I see a real importance for continuing farming in our country. I see a lot of farms going out, and I think that it's going to become increasingly more important for people like myself that are currently in it to remain in it and pass that on to future generations.
From the farm fields to Capitol Hill, FFVA is an essential and trusted partner for Florida producers, working to safeguard a strong future for agriculture.
I love what I do. When I wake up every day, it's the first thing I think about. It's what I want to go to work doing. It's what I think about at night. It's truly a passion, and I couldn't think of doing anything else.
Connect.
Lead.
Protect.
Serve.
Represent. Inform.
Grow.